Hi everyone, welcome to this live show with me, Sandeep and Emmy. And today's topic is power of love. Now, love is the easiest thing, and love is the most difficult thing. Love is constructive, it makes everything go around. But the question is, the way we use love, you know, is that really love? Well, I'll pass on the mic to Emmy. Emmy, why don't you introduce yourself and take forward the topic of the day, power of love?
Thank you. Yep, I'm Emmy Rousseau, and I'm also an educator like Sandeep, turned entrepreneur. And I really do focus on helping people learn to love themselves better, as a matter of fact. And your question is so perfect. Is it in the way that we're using it? Is it really love? I'm reading this book all about love by Bell Hooks. I don't know if, there we go, that's better. Have you read this
Okay.
book, Sandeep?
No, no, I have not read it.
This woman just passed away recently, like I want to say in the last couple months. I think this year, like so it's recent.
Hmm.
And I guess she was a big activist, and but she wrote this revolutionary book all about love, and she talks a lot about that, about how everybody wants to know about love, everybody wants to find love, um, and yet a lot of us don't even know the meaning of love, or we think it's just this, right? Like it's just romantic love. We always think we either should get our love from our parents first, like they should teach us how to unconditionally love. And if we didn't get unconditional love from our parents, then we should find it in a romantic relationship. And so then we end up chasing love, right? But really, love is who we are, and it is our inner being, it is our natural self. And so when we are in tune with ourselves, we are love, and we naturally radiate it out, and it's radiating out and mirroring back to us all the time. There's no need to chase love. You just are love.
And Emmy, you have described it beautifully. The inner being, the inner soul, the core, that is love. And when we extend it out to the other person and develop a sense of belonging, and that also unconditionally, for me, that is true love. But
Absolutely.
that's a very difficult state to reach because unconditionality requires surrender, and surrender is the last thing which our ego allows us to do. So the way I look at it, probably, you see, coming from India, I might be taking the spiritual dimension of love. Okay. uh, but the way I look at it, at the one end of the spectrum is affection with a lot of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
On the other end is pure love. Affection is also a part of love.
Mm-hmm.
But as we keep moving from affection up, 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 like your consciousness keeps evolving, keeps going up, the unconditionality starts coming in, and the unity in your thoughts starts emerging. And when you are in pure love, then you find the common thread between you and the others, you and the Supreme, and everything looks like a big family, not fragmented into cities and towns, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Your take.
Absolutely. And it's funny because as my understanding of love and my level of self love has evolved, I've felt a little bit like, oh, so I'll start with like, before I used to hear people on YouTube or on the internet, whatever, saying like, they'll give their little talk and they'll say, and I love you all. And I was like, what is this person talking? They don't even know me. They can't love me. Like, that's just so fake. I thought it was so fake. I don't know if anybody watching can relate, but I thought that is absolutely fake. Well, now I am one of those people that I always say in the end, I love you all. Have a great day. You're
Uh,
not in this alone. Because once you realize, like you said, you get up into past just affection into unconditional love, or you're approaching that, you just love everything, like humanity, all creation. It's just all seen through the eyes of love. And so you can't not see from that perspective anymore because you're embodying it. And so, of course, everything seems connected, everything seems united. It's no different than like thinking, oh, I wish, I didn't have this post baby belly, it's not my favorite part of me, I'd really like to get rid of it. But you still love yourself because you're like, but I
Yeah.
gave birth to like an amazing being, and so there's a reason for this. When you can get to that, so it's the parts of you that like, man, I don't really like as much, but I still love it, and that's
Mhm.
when you have the unity with other people, because you can say, I don't like this characteristic about you, or I don't like this behavior that you're showing, but I still love you, the person.
Yes, you're right, because this brings me to the other point, that love is neither an emotion, more of a feeling, but it's definitely not an emotion.
Mm,
It's a state of being.
exactly.
It's a state in which you are there and just there. And definitely, it's a very powerful energy.
Absolutely.
Everything is energy. And love is one of the most powerful energy. It's like the super glue. If you unconditionally connect with someone, like you need a lot of hammer and saws, whatnot, to cut through the super glue. Similarly, when you bond with pure love, and mind it, a lot of people say that, okay, then you go blind. No, you don't go blind. Pure love is not passive submission. It is active participation
Hmm.
unconditionally for the benefit of both, for the larger benefit.
Absolutely. Love that. I feel it because I can so resonate with that, because for so long I was part of the, being conditioned to think love is just an emotion, but it's not at all. It is a state of being. And when you reach that state of being, it is really how you want to be all the time. All the time. I mean, I literally sit there and that's what I say to people now. I am love. And they're like, what? I'm like, it's just who I am. Can't separate. It's like, I'm white too, never gonna change. Even when I can, still white. Who I am. That's not
Well,
changing.
well, well, I mean, since both of us agree it's a state of being, you see, and a state of being just doesn't happen.
No.
You got to work towards that.
Hmm.
So, my next question to you would be, how do you work towards being in the being in love, that is the state of being, or
Right.
being in the state of love?
Right. The vibration of love, the state of love.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
how do you work yourself up? Otherwise, I love my shoe, I love my dog, I love the coffee, and I love you.
Yeah.
One of my friends used to say, "Don't say this thing. I love my shoe and I love you. You are comparing me to your shoe."
I am not your shoe. Don't tell me that. That's funny. I love it.
Yeah.
No, I
So,
think,
how do you evolve that?
well, it's just because if we realize that it is a vibration, we can move up that vibrational scale by doing things that make us feel better and better and better, right? So if we focus on the negative, we're going to bring ourselves down the scale. If we focus on the positive, we're going to bring ourselves up the scale. So if we focus on things that bring us joy, we're getting closer and closer and closer. So, of course, if we're starting down here at, let's say, grief, to go from grief to love is this huge jump that any human I know hasn't been able to do. Maybe there are some, but I've yet to find out about them. So, we just want to go from grief to anger, and then from anger to what's the one that's neutral? Anyways, but like slowly, slowly. And I was just talking with one of my mentoring clients and saying, keep the list of things that bring you joy. Keep it somewhere you can see it, because when you're down here and depressed, you can't think your way out of, oh, I'm depressed. Like, so I'll just do something, because your brain's like protection, protection, protection. So it's not letting you think about the things that are going to bring you out of it. So just look at that list. Like, is it on your fridge? Where is it? Maybe it's on your phone, so that all you have to do is open your phone and be like, oh, right. Dancing brings me joy, because in the moment you might not think of it. So then you do dance and all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit better and you're like, all right, I don't feel so bad now. And just, I think that following your bliss, doing the things that make you feel better, that's what helps me to stay in the state of love. How about you?
Brilliant. I'll give a more formal answer, right? Okay. My life experiences teach me that to be in a state which you can term as love, which is higher than being affectionate or being infatuated, right? Number one, you got to learn to look beyond yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create that space for the other person, because if you're looking only at yourself, then there's no space for the other person. Number two, you need to practice gratitude. You need to practice compassion so that the cords between you and the other person, they cement, they become stronger. And once you start looking beyond yourself, obviously you got to be open, etc., etc. And then comes the joy, etc., which you were talking about. Because when you are in a happy state, you're more accepting, more forgiving, you're thinking right, you're understanding right, and you're behaving right.
Mm-hmm.
And for all these things to happen, well, I believe and I think I've shared with you earlier also in one of our earlier sessions, in the formula of phases, you got to be flexible, adaptable, coherent, energized, like you said, and stable.
Mm,
And all these things take a lot of internal discipline.
absolutely. The one I'm most recently working on is the inner stillness, which is what helps me with stability, right? Because I'm a naturally very high energy person. But
Yeah.
if I am just going so high and not creating that inner stillness, then it just, first of all, my energy will deplete much quicker. And then it becomes like fleeting happiness, fleeting joy, rather than it's coming from this deep well of strength, of like an abundant well inside you. So, and it's the same with love. If you aren't, this is why I teach that it's so important to love yourself first, is if you don't have a full cup of it, you can't give it to someone else. You can give what you have, and then you end up with an empty cup. So, I think about this as the power of love starting with yourself. If you've ever seen a champagne tree, a woman gave me this analogy and I just love it. So you have the one champagne cup glass at the top, and then, 3 and 5 and 7, however many you have, however many layers. You're only pouring from the champagne bottle, let's call that love, into the champagne glass, which is you, the one on the top. That's it. You're only pouring into that one. All right. As it's filling up, these other ones, they're the other people in your life. They're still empty, right? Nothing's happening. You could stop. Okay, I'm half full. My glass is half full. I'm going to pour it into the next. But what happens, you either get a little bit in each of the 4 glasses that are on the next level, or 3 or whatever, or you get 1 glass half full and then you're done. You have nothing, right? Instead, if you keep yourself grounded and you're still on the top and you just keep pouring the love, pouring the love, pouring the love, eventually what happens is the champagne overflows, the love overflows from your cup, and it just naturally is trickling down and filling up all those other layers of cups. You can't help it. When people say self-love is selfish, no, it's not. It's self-full. It cannot be selfish, because as soon as you overflow your love, it can't stay in you. It can't. It's like the champagne glass. It will just radiate, coming down, filling up the layers and the layers and the layers. So that is why I'm so passionate about telling people, like, yes, love yourself first. It's self-full, not selfish. And it's really how we do serve more people. Because I kept pouring the love into me, now I've got all these other champagne glasses, all these other people full of love. If I had stopped halfway through and said, oh, I have to start serving people, oh, well, sorry, that's all I got to serve.
Oh, brilliant example, the champagne tree example, right? Like usually I tell people, okay, you have $100. Can you give me 101?
Right. You can't.
They say, you gone crazy. I say, I've not gone crazy. All I'm saying is, you can give me only what you have.
Exactly.
And if you don't have love for yourself, what will you give me? You just can't give it. And yes, and I definitely come across a lot of skeptics or the cynics who will say that, okay, this is bad, this is selfish, etc., etc. I say, okay, you don't like the word love, self love, reject it. Self acceptance. Accept yourself the way you are. Even that is equivalent to self love.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you accept yourself, you start accepting the other people. And the people go back happy.
Absolutely. Because other people are a mirror for us too, right? So if we're seeing something we don't like in them,
Yeah.
it's really because we're seeing something we don't like in ourselves, right? So, which I know is a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but so it is.
Yeah, and folks, this is the reason love is the simplest thing and the most difficult thing.
And it's the most powerful thing. Like the power of
And,
love is the power to heal everything, like everything. And it sounds so simplistic, but it's so true.
and it is so powerful, but in case you do not handle it properly, it also weakens you like crazy. Yeah? Because if you let go of your wisdom, you only go by your emotions.
But then we're
Because
talking about love as an emotion, which we know we're talking about love as a
no,
state of being.
what I'm saying is for a
Mm-hmm.
well-being,
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, that's wisdom. So
Mm-hmm.
wisdom and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
We got to balance both.
Mm-hmm.
Now we let go of the wisdom part and we allow our emotions, the stories we create around that feeling or the state of being, to take us over, right? I'm not saying love is an emotion. We allow our emotions to rule us, then it can be very weakening also. Because then people tend to take advantage of you, of your goodness. You don't know where to draw the line.
And that's where having healthy boundaries is a very important part of self-love, right?
Yes, exactly. And this is the point I wanted to make. I was not getting the word healthy boundaries. Yes. So thank you, Amy, for the
Oh,
healthy boundary things.
this is why it's great to bounce it off each other, balance it out.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. I
So,
think that,
Amy, yeah. So, how would you like to conclude today's thing, and what message would you like to leave for our listeners, or some takeaway tips?
I
You know,
think
which
the most important thing is that although it is because we're socialized that we shouldn't, it is probably one of the hardest things we can do is to love ourselves. We've been socialized to think we have to love everybody else first and we come last. I was joking with a friend the other day. I said, we are both of Christian faith. And I said, never once does it say in the Bible, don't love yourself. Never once does it say, put yourself last. I'm like, did you ever hear Jesus say, nah, put yourself last? He never said that. So I don't know where we got these ideas from. But really, if we can shift to self-love is self-full and think about anything that's full and it overflows, know that that's how you're going to show up best in the world to serve others. So it's not an either or. It's a yes and. Loving yourself is a yes and. Yes, I'm going to love myself first, and I'm going to be able to love others as well. And I have this amazing painting, as you can see, of love.
Yes, love.
And the artist knew me. And so when I bought it from him, before I went to pick it up, he added some messages on the side. And this one at the bottom, it says, the love you seek out is already within you. So that would be my last thing. The love you seek
Well,
out.
that's very
Already.
powerful. And my last thing would be, well, love means different things to different people. They define it differently. Their experiences are different. A number of times I've come across people saying, I have been betrayed in love. Love has ruined my life, etc., etc. Well, uh, I'll only say one thing: don't give up on love. If you feel hurt, see the larger picture. Put your emotions aside. Try and assess the reality. It could be that you were not hurt, but you felt that you were hurt, or your ego made you feel that you were hurt. In reality, you were never hurt. So, therefore, don't give up on love. See the larger picture, get to the reality, and just move on, because love is the brightest and the strongest and the most powerful energy in the universe. So, guys, with this, thank you very much. And Emmy, for the next week, would you like to suggest something?
Goodness, I don't know. We'll think on it. We'll let you know. Stay tuned for what's
Stay
coming next
tuned.
week.
Brilliant. And guys, you're on my page, so yes, you know where I am, and you can check my profile. You can get in touch with me. Emmy, how do people reach you?
They reach me by going, whether it's LinkedIn, IG, Facebook, even TikTok. You can reach me at Transform with Emmy. All one word, Transform with Emmy.
Brilliant. So with that, we come to an end today's session. So thank you, everyone.
Thank
Namaste
you.
from India.
Absolutely. Have a great day.